Okay, good morning all learners. Now going to our next class. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Okay. So welcome to this,
Yes, we are doing well.
and I
Anytime.
request all learner please mute yourself. In this lecture, I have told about the rural socio-economic structure, various development approaches. I mean, in the my earlier lectures, I have told about the rural socio-economic structure, various development approaches. And everyone know rural development in any country has to be oriented necessarily towards the integrated development rural areas. So the transformation and modernization of rural economy and society and elevation for this purpose, you would all argue, agree, we need mobilization and resources and their allocation specifically for implement of programs for the benefit of the rural population, especially for rural people or rural poor. So the administrative structure for the implementation of any rural development program therefore assume a significance, a special significance. So today major agency of development is administrative machinery, and we are going to talk about administrative machinery. So I'm sharing my PPT. Hope so you can see.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You
ma'am,
can
we
see my
can.
PPT. Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
So the rural development administration. Uh, Now today we'll cover area administrative structure, panchayati raj, cooperative and rural development, rural credit banking. These are I'm going to deliver. Now, administrative structure. So administrative structure is a organizational structure and hierarchical arrangement of the lines of authority. So if any rural development, we need administrative structure. And administrative structure is a process, is a, you can say it refer to process of running an organization and also include creating rules, regulations, making decision management of operation, creating organization of staff, employee, and people to direct activities towards achieving a common goal. Sociologist Simon say administrative can be defined as an activity of group cooperating to accomplish common goal. Uh, Let me define what is administer. It is derived from Latin word ad plus ministere, means care for or look after people to manage affair. So this is administrative. So what is the nature of administration? It is a universal, it is a holistic also, continuous and ongoing process. Administrative structure is a, it is a, not administrative structure, administration is a goal oriented, social and human nature, and dynamic, also creative and innovative, you can say. So what is the function of administration? administration and the whole public sector are going through a radical changes of their position in relation to economy, while the elimination of ineffective of bureaucratically burdensome method of direct invention in the economic sphere from the totalitarian era, and it does not mean by any liquidation of the economic regulation. Please mute yourself. So, some I request to please mute yourself. So now we come to the Rural Development Administration. The administration of rural development has been carried out by the Block Development Office, related government offices, and Panchayati Raj system. It also look into role of rural people in the administration of rural development, mainly through participation in Panchayati Raj system. And you can say list of some committees we will discuss later. Now come to the next slide, structure and function of the South African government. This is a structure and function. South Africa is in a democracy power. I can say, I will tell you some better more in my word. In democracy power, or in democracy, power is conferred upon people in their pursuit of quality of life. So government is committed to building of free, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, united and successful South Africa. Now you can go through by this case study. This is administrative division, categorized by secretary, joint secretary, administration and coordination, direct administration, under secretary general and general section. So now we come to the administrative machinery. What is administrative machinery? It is the role and responsibilities of civil servant are mentioned in article, you can say 324 of Constitution of India, 308 and 311. Professionally, if we say the administrative machinery is entrusted with the responsibility to second the working of the central and the state government, the complexity of the government and its working is eased by the normal role that bureaucracy is expected to perform. Apart from policy advisory they offer to the political executive, the administrative machinery is quintessential for citizens' life directly. Now, what is political accountability toward the government? In India, bureaucrats are expected to perform the dual role in terms of being accountable to both the parliament as well as citizen. And civil servants are obliged to oversee that the functioning of the government is based on principle of democracy and transparency. And government has elucidated the role of accountability of civil servants, and the government is primary object in determining the public interest. So these public offices holders are expected to be the neutral in their work, thus they should restrict themselves from being biased toward the ruling party of the or the opposition. So they assist the government and those in power to formulate and execute policies and programs. But what is advocating public interest? So there are 2-3 points. Number one, there are wide concern and political anxiety over the transparency and honest implementation of policies. Second one is civil servants are responsive to aspirant of the citizens in exhibiting their professionalism. They ensure that the principle of quality is well synchronized in society, and they are expected to respond, cater to the need of weaker section. And the three-tier system, which we will discuss our next slide. This is administrative setup. What is administrative setup? We have a national level, state level, district level, and block and village level. Administrative setup at national level. The Ministry of Rural Construction was constituted in 1979 and continue as 1982. And when it was remained the Ministry of Rural Development, and I think 1985 January, it became the Department of Rural Development under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. And September 85, the ministry was renamed the Ministry of Agriculture with the separate Department of Rural Development as one of its constituent. And the ministry is also divided into subdivision into functional basis, like the Department of Rural Development and Department of Drinking Water Supply. Department of Rural Development have some work like administrative and Panchayati Raj division, poverty elevation division, Swarojgar or Swaraj Jayanti Gram division, rural connectivity division, land resources division, monitoring division, finance, and so on. And Department of Drinking Water Supply, it works as a water supply division and rural sanitation division. Now state level setup of administrative is the state government is directly responsible for the administration of rural development programs. It means almost all the states have now a separate Department of Rural Development headed by the secretary, and above him it is a Development Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development. In many states, the chief secretary, him or herself, is the department or development commissioner cum secretary, and the state level coordination and review committee was set up in all states to bring about the coordination among different departments. And these committees consisted of the secretaries of all department concerned and representative each from the central government. Even the Union Ministry of Rural Development has had prescribed that government, that program like an integrated rural development program and the national rural employment program, the rural landless development guarantee program, and drought prone areas program called DPAP, the dissertation development program, should be looked after being a single department having an overall control over the development and administration right up to block and the field level, so that intersectoral coordination with other departments were adequately taken care of the state level. So now I come to the setup of district level. District level, it has been the basic unit of administration, and the head of district administration is district collector or district magistrate. At the district level, the revenue and the development function have been combined at is one office, single office, and when the development functions have been launched, the district collector was made the head of community development administration in the districts. So the collector coordinated district plans and presided over the district planning committee, and this committee consisted of official and non-official member, and it is assisted by direct planning officer or district planning officer. Some changes were introduced in district level. The fourth year plan, that fourth year plan was 1969 to 74. when the small farmer development agencies and marginal farmer and agricultural level development agencies were set up upon the recommendation of the All India Rural Credit Review Committee. It is appointed by RBI, uh, Reserve Bank of India, in 69, and to provide credit support and technical guidance to small farmer. And autonomous an autonomous agency registered under the Registration of Society Act 1860, and it was established at the district level to implement the some programs, and each agency consisted of the government body with a small executive staff and was to receive support them. And the block and village level, under community development program, the development block was created as the basic unit of planning or and integrated rural development comprising agriculture and allied activity like education, health, social welfare, and so on, with some specific emphasis on self-help and public participation. The block administration consists block level officer, and namely block development officer BDO, who was assisted by about 8 extension personnel representing animal husbandry, cooperation, social order, and irrigation also. So village level workers, VLOs, also called Gram Sevak or Sevikas, and some auxiliary staffs. So one committee and Balwant Rai Mehta study team appointed by the Government of India to review community development project and national extension services in 1957. This is all setup of administrative machineries and some changes in administrative setup after 73rd amendment. This is district planning committee and Gram Panchayat. District planning committee is a kind of like it is a requirement of both panchayat and municipalities, and district planning committee will be in large or charge of integrated planning for the district urban and rural area, and it must prepare a draft development plans that address a critical issues of common interest like water, natural resources, sharing among others. So every state, what is district planning committee? Means every state shall establish a district planning committee at the district level and to consolidate the plans prepared by panchayats, municipality in district, and to prepare a draft development plan for the district as whole. And the state legislature has the authority to make the some provision like the composition of such committee, manner in which such committee member are elected, the function of such committees in the relation of district planning, and the procedure of selecting chairperson of the such committee. So the some constitutional provision in Article 243ZD provide constitution of district planning committee and to consolidate the panchayat. So importance of district planning committees serve as a link between panchayat and urbans district, and also district planning involve a creating development even it consistent with specific need of the people, the area growth potentials, and the available budgetary allocation. But what shortcomings? In the majority of states, district planning committee are not fully functional, and but in few states they are not even properly constituted, where in the majority of states they are constituted but in constitutionally desired way. And ministers serve as a district planning committee chairperson in several states. This is a district planning committee. Now we come to the district Gram Panchayat. Gram Panchayat is a third tier of Panchayati Raj, and the Gram Panchayat has been charged with the responsibility to identify and prioritize development scheme and prepare action plan accordingly accordingly to the approval of Gram Sabha. The role of Gram Panchayat have increased manifold vis-a-vis the quantum of resources meant for development activities being handled by them. And the Gram Panchayat have come in existence that are also implementing development schemes. And the participation of the people and timely conduct of the Gram Sabha meetings are the activity not up to the mark in actual practices. So the problem can be controlled to a great extent by promoting awareness among the rural mass, that is Gram Panchayat. And you can see this relation between official functionaries and elected representative of the people. The relationship between the official functionaries or elected representative assume special significance in context of developing countries, as both setup of individual are expected to work together the same goal, and as the agent of social change, the bureaucracy and elected representative have complementary role to play. So it is imperative for successful policy implementation, and the both work in close cooperation with one another. So often the political leader are the part of social elite, and that is they belong to higher caste and higher income group, and the caste class bias is reflected in the pattern of selection of the beneficiaries for the government. So come to the next slide. CAPART. CAPART is a council for the advancement of people action plan. Means it is a autonomous society under Ministry of Rural Development, and it is established in 1986, and also promote voluntary action towards implementation of projects for the enhancement of rural prosperity, and act as a catalyst for development of technologies appropriate for rural area. Over the years, CAPART has assisted a large number of NGOs for the implementation of variegated projects, and CAPART's assistance is spread over all part of country, embracing diverse categories of scheme under public cooperation. What is re-engineering of CAPART? CAPART, in order to achieve its larger objectives and perform the task assigned to it, CAPART has to re-engineer its role and reposition itself appropriately to deal with rural NGO sector in consonance with the hopes and aspiration of the people represented by this sector. And vision of CAPART is to play a dynamic and catalytic role with the various governmental agencies, NGOs, and influence public policy and contribute its share toward the May-sided development of rural India. And mission of CAPART is work to close coordination with rural NGOs and empower them by engaging them in dialogue, respecting their thought and ideas, listening to their voice, harnessing their resources, funding their activities, and also walk hand in hand with them on the road of rural property. Reclaiming classify program and scheme to be supported by CAPART and some goals and objective. In response to suggestion and ideas put forward by NGOs during regional meetings and in light of experience gathered in the implementation of different categories of the project and having regard to innovation, flexibility, local needs and requirement called for one the part of CAPART. And it is also proposed to classify scheme for assistance from CAPART under 6 broad categories. And the reclassified program and schemes are the natural resource development and management, rural industrialization, income general and market access, technology for rural development and promotion of information technology, rural information development schemes, schemes for empowerment of rural women, SC/ST, and disadvantages group for the person and disability in the rural area, and human resource development scheme. Some important characteristic are it is the changing guiding principle for funding is and fund for only those carefully selected one who have done or have the potential of the doing outstanding work in empowerment and welfare of the disadvantaged. And also it may be added here, the CAPART main role is support innovation, publicize successful invention by the voluntary sector of the wider world. Please mute yourself. And some it is also necessary to stress that implicit in the aforesaid objective of CAPART is the philosophy that please mute yourself. So CAPART project will be based on the holistic approach to rural development, integrating various development activities and for achieving the goals of preservation of biodiversity and environment, enhance. I request to all learners, please mute yourself. Now, we come to the next slide. This is a strengthening the maintenance of account and audit at the pre-level. So, at the pre-level, 11 Finance Commission under the in order to strengthen the system, account and audit Gram Panchayat and audit at the Gram Panchayat level, it had recommended that Gram Panchayat, which do not have exclusive staff for the maintaining account, may get the work done on contract basis. For each Gram Panchayat can spend amount of 4,000 per annum. So you can see some social audit by Gram Sabha. One of the major recommendation of the task force means on devolution of power to Panchayati Raj scheme was to devise was to please mute yourself. I can't speak. Was to advise state to legally empower the Gram Sabha and also issues necessary guideline for them to conduct social audit satisfactory. And social audit should be binding legal outcomes to curb corruption and misappropriation of fund at the Gram Panchayat level. The next slide. This is what I've told you. And the Panchayati Raj. Now we come to the Panchayati Raj. Panchayati Raj is a 3-tier structure of Indian administrative system. And Panchayati Raj was inaugurated by Indian Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on 2nd October 1959 and Nagaur. And some objectives. Number one, historical background, which we'll discuss. So, what is Panchayat and what is Panchayati Raj? Panchayat is a village assemblies existing in ancient India as self-governing governing institution and which had distinct and well-defined functions. So, the institution of Panchayat or village council represented represented not only the collective will but also collective wisdom of the entire rural community. And in the other part of the country, village panchayat also existed in Rajasthan, and British rule introduced a highly decentralized system of administering justice, which changed the situation and the system of village panchayat and suffered a setback. So, in 1953, the Rajasthan Panchayat Act enacted and the village.
Ma'am,
Please
let me
mute
talk to him.
yourself, otherwise I'll stop.
Muhammad Shaibu Muhammad. Allah ka kashe mana mouth ɗin ka kashe mouth ɗin ka sa mana a mouth. Kana damun mu.
Not possible to speak or not possible to.
Muhammad Shaibu Muhammad.
Okay, thank you.
You can go, ma'am.
So, in 1953, in India, the Rajasthan Panchayat Act was enacted and village panchayat were established throughout the state. And Rajasthan has the distinction of being pioneer in accepting the scheme of democratic decentralization, invising the three-tier system of representative bodies at the village. So the system later came to known as Panchayati Raj, which is inaugurated by Prime Minister on 2nd October 1959. And the first election under the Rajasthan Panchayat Samiti called Jila Parishad Act 1959. It is held in September, October 1959. And with the already existing panchayat at the village level, Act 1953, the three-tier scheme of Panchayati Raj began functioning in 1959. So this is Panchayati Raj. And now come to the next slide. Of post-independence, birth of Panchayati Raj system, you can see 4 committees. One is Ashok Mehta Committee. Second is GVK Rao Committee and LM Singhvi Committee and Sarkaria Committee. But through this, I would like to give some post-independence period of Panchayati Raj. We'll give a brief view. The Indian National Congress perceived Panchayat as an institution. People or local self-governance was seen as the true voice of democracy, and many of our leaders, mainly Mahatma Gandhi, had pointed out that independence must begin at the lowest level. So every village should be a republic with panchayat having a full power. So the idea was to have process or democratic process and operating at all the grassroots level as much as national level. So, the birth of Panchayati Raj system in independent India, and it was the study team on community project and national extensive service. It is headed by Balwant Rai Mehta, and set in 1957, which expressed concern about the lack of popular participation in community development program and made a strong plea for devolution of power to lower level through Panchayati Raj. So Panchayati Raj system came into existence in 1959 and two basic objectives. First is democratic decentralization and second is local participation in planned manner in grassroots level. Now we come to the all committees. That is first one Ashok Mehta committee. The year 1977, this Mehta committee was appointed under the chairman of Ashok Mehta to review the working of Panchayati Raj institution. And the committee listed some factor responsible for declining of Panchayati Raj. What is number one? Dissociation of problems, dissociation of programs of development from Panchayati Raj. Second, inability of bureaucracy to involve Panchayati Raj in the implementation of development program. Third, internal deficiencies within the Panchayati institution and the lack of clarity about the concept itself. So the Ashok Mehta committee provided a definite philosophical treatment to the system and also observed the rural India was the backbone of the all developmental programs. So the future of India would depend on the welfare of the village, and Panchayati Raj as a system should contribute to the philosophy and function of rural life in India. And the most significant recommendation of committee was about the two-tier Panchayati Raj system. And this recommendation said the Jila Parishad at the district level called Jila Parishad, it is established as the first point of decentralization and also recommend the formation of some small panchayat that is called Mandal Panchayat. And Mandal Panchayat was conceived as a group village which would make to necessary link with the system in developing focal points. Now the second one, GVK Rao committee, it was set up by an year around 1985 and asked to look into the administrative arrangement for the rural development and the role of panchayat bodies and their relationship between the administrative setup. So some major recommendation of this committees are one, at district level that is called Jilla Parishad should be strengthened, should be strong, and there should be subcommittees at the district level with proportional representation. Also have one recommendation, that is some planning functions may be transferred to the district level and also election of local body should be regularly. So this committee believed that development was possible in a only if a large number of people participated in development activities. That is GVK Rao committee. Now LM Singhvi committee. It was set up in 1986 and it gave the importance of Gram Sabha and some recommendations are the local self-government should be constitutionally recognized. Panchayat level should be election at the panchayat level or village level should be held regularly without any delay. And Panchayati Raj Judicial Tribunal should be set up in every state to deal with matters related to working of Panchayat Raj. And there should be adequate financial resources to ensure effective functioning of the panchayat. And participation of individual attached to political party should be discouraged. And the last commission is Sarkaria Commission. This was set up in 1988 and primarily concerned the state relationship, with also recommend the strengthening of local bodies, financially or functionally, whatever. So you can say the commission also believe the election for panchayat must be held regularly by the end of 1988, and subcommittee of the consultative committee of the parliament under the chairman of PK Thangon made recommendation for strengthening the panchayati raj system once again. So the recommendation, of was the panchayati raj body should be constitutionally recognized, and recommendation of these various committees and commissions generated a strong realization that was need to create a strong third layer of governance, I think, which would be help the rural community to influence its own future. And to materialize this, it was considered necessary to give constitutional recognition to the third layer of governance. So our next slide, the 73rd Amendment Act 1992. So 73rd Amendment 9, it is a amendment phase begin with 64 Amendment Bill, that is 1989, and which was introduced in Parliament for constituting panchayat in every state at the village level, and which was introduced in the Parliament for Parliament, and it also proposed that the legislature of the state could by law endow the panchayat with such power and authority. And this bill was brainchild of Rajiv Gandhi, who strongly believed in the strengthening panchayat by giving them constitutional status. But unfortunately, though the bill got two-thirds majority in Lok Sabha, it was struck down in Rajya Sabha on 15th October 1989 by just 2 votes. And the next government headed by VP Singh also made an abortive effort to provide constitutional status to panchayat through the introduction of 74th Amendment Bill. And this is our salient feature of amendment. One is Gram Sabha. Gram Sabha is acted, restore the somebody has mic on, I think. Please mute yourself. The Gram Sabha has an important role in this act. It is clear the primary source of democratic power in the village, and Gram Sabha is expected to be active institution for starting all development activities based on local need. And the next one, 3-tier model. 3-tier model will have, our country will have an informed 3-tier system of panchayat. Panchayat means at the village, intermediate or district level. Only the state with the population less than 20 lakhs would not need to establish panchayat at the intermediate level. It is disturbing. Please mute yourself. The third one is
Miss Frederick.
Hi, Frederick.
reservation of seat. And amendment or act provide for reservation of seat for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in every panchayat in proportion to their population, and 1/3 of the seat reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe It will also reserve for the women also, and not less than one third of the total number of seats to be filled by direct election shall be reserved for the women. Please mute yourself. Voice making irritates me.
Hello, ma'am. Let me
Frederick,
talk to you.
please, Frederick.
Hello, Frederick.
You mute
Please,
yourself.
mount yourself. Frederick.
Thank you.
All right, ma'am.
So, this is the reservation of seat. And the next one is duration of panchayat. Direct election to panchayat is one of the distinguishing feature of this amendment, because in this, after this amendment, person chosen by direct election from the territorial constituency and shall fill all the seats in a panchayat, and the chairman at the village level shall be elected in such a manner and as a legislature of the state may provide. So the chairperson at the intermediate and district level shall be elected by and from among the elected member. Now, what is the duration of panchayat? Duration of panchayat for 5 years normally, and dissolve for any reason for this period is over. Election will be held within 6 months. And conduct of election is superintendent direction and control of preparation of electoral roll for, and the conduct of all election of panchayats shall be vested in the state election commission. And what is the role of finance commission? In order the enough fund are made available to panchayat for initiating various development activities, the Constitution Act 1992 provide for the constitution of finance commission in every state, and this commission is constituted by governor of each state within 1 year from the commencement of the Constitution Act 1992 and at the end of every 5 years thereafter. And the last is development activities. Development activities is listed for panchayati institutions, may be grouped under 5 categories. First one is economic development. Economic development have 11 items, which we talk about next lecture. And second one is education. Third one, health. Fourth, welfare, including women and child development. There are 4 items which include social welfare, welfare of weaker section, public distribution system, and child development. Infrastructure development, in this category, there have 7 items like road, housing, drinking, water markets, electrification, maintenance of community asset. And these are the certain items which are meant for the poor or underprivileged. So a scheme for the weaker section and program for the women and child development also fall under this category. And land reform, particularly the distribution of wasteland and the enforcement of tenancy law constitute the frontal attack on poverty. And they are understood to central to any strategy used for development. So the post amendment scenario, what is? The institution of Panchayati Raj in its rejuvenated form sought to realize the goal of democratic decentralization and to accelerate socioeconomic development and bring about the equity and social justice. And this Act 1992 and subsequent state legislation were expected to endow panchayat with such power and authority. So, however, that the devolution of function and authority has not been carried out the letter and the spirit of constitution. This is 5 salient feature. Now come to the what is positive impacts of the 73rd Amendment. What is the positive impacts? Most important is election to be panchayat is most state are being held regularly. And you can say over the 600 district panchayat, around 6,000 intermediate panchayat and 2.3. These are the figure have a formal position in our representative democracy. I'll take 5 minute break. We'll meet after 5 minutes. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful presentation. Gentlemen, let us take this opportunity to learn to mute ourselves when the second session comes into effect. We cannot be having background noises. It's annoying even to the doctor. We are inconveniencing her. It's not professional. Thank you so much. That was my little comment.
Okay. Thank you, Raymond. So we'll meet after 5 minutes.
Mr. SS, you are in jail.
Welcome once again. Continue to same topic. I have told about Panchayati Raj. Now come to the next topic. Sharing my PPT. Is it okay?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Now come to the cooperative in rural development. So, what is, before going to this topic, would like to tell you what is cooperative society in rural development. So, cooperative society is an organization formed to provide financial assistance to its member, and the member are responsible for raising capital to help those in need. And it mainly protects the weaker section within rural communities from exploitation by wealthy individuals and companies. The rural economy need faster and more sustainable development to cater to need of its population, and the cooperative society have a responsibility to play a constructive role in this area. Some important characteristic like voluntary and open membership. Cooperatives are accessible to every member of the society or rural society, and they can join or leave the organization as per their choice. And if a member wants to exit to the cooperative, they have to give notice before leaving. This is voluntary and open membership. And the second one is registration. It need to follow registration process as per to become a legal entity. So they can enter to contract or acquire property only after the registration of their society. And other characteristic is limited liability. The limited liability of member is limited to extent of capital investment or invested by them, and also help to protect their financial interest. And this is also a government supervision. State government regularly monitor cooperative societies and their also activities and ensure that the financial interest of its member are protected, and organization has maintained a proper accounts all time, and also have a democratic principle. Any cooperative society has to ensure voting right for its member and elect a managing committee and make an important decision related to running the organization. So, what is the contribution in rural economy? हाँ, वो डोसे वाला वो बना लो, आलू और चटनी मैंने भून दिया है.
अच्छा, और वहां से कुछ लाना है भी?
नहीं, कुछ नहीं. So, the role of cooperative in rural development, it is very significant and beneficial for the rural economy. So we will discuss here role. First is the rural development is crucial as they protect their member from the private money lender who give loan at the very high interest rate, and credit cooperative rarely raise large amount of capital due to limited financial resources of their members. So they play a vital role in sustaining the viability of both agrarian and non-agrarian occupation in the rural economy, and also have a housing facility for lower income groups. Housing cooperative society in rural areas assist their member in getting a place to live, and they are primarily involved in helping people from lower income group get housing facility at affordable rate. And housing society also help consumer get affordable products. Like several customer cooperative society help rural household to get products at very cheaper rates, and they purchase products directly from the manufacturer and sell them their member below market price, and removing the involvement of intermediaries. So anyone who want to buy a product at these rates become a member of consumer cooperative society. Even it assists a small business to stay profitable. Means it also help the small scale entrepreneur to procure raw material at cheaper rate to reduce their cost of production, and also provide producer with a platform to sell their product directly to the consumer. Removing intermediary help to cut down the selling price and ensure higher sale and profit for the producers. Cooperative also share profits among members to establish the and means to establish the economically weaker section of the rural community, and they also distribute profit from the operation among their members. So the role of cooperative society in rural development, it is a much more than what we think. They enable individuals and businessmen, not businessmen, businesses to become financially independent, and also help run small and medium enterprises that are the backbone of nation. So come to the next, what is the principles of cooperative society? But before going to no, these principles are of cooperation, and first one is voluntary and open membership. I think as I told you earlier, other one is democratic member control. But before going to this, how evolution of cooperative in India, I would like to tell you this pre-independence and post-independence scenario. In India, began it work with the objective of making breakthrough the stagnation of poorer class. With the enactment of 1901 Act, the first cooperative society was registered on 8th May 1905, and then state of Bombay in Katak Taluka of Dharwad district 1911, and then going on and on 1919, 1929, 1930, and 1945 to 46. This period is considered a very recovery period. It is a pre-independence scenario. And after the pre-independence 1947, the country adopted the policy of planned economic development and planned economic development for establishing an integrated just society, providing individual liberty, equality of opportunity, and the basis of instrument for achieving the objectives. And in year 1951, the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, set up the committee known as All India Rural Credit Committee, and a report was established in year 1954, and in year 1954 same time, the main thrust was an viability concept, and it was observed that only 20% of cooperatives were found to be economically viable due to their limited operation and uh, due to their limited and it should be organized to procure more business. So it was allowed to recommend it that the government with the share capital to the extent around 51%, and it is to be allowed to become partner in cooperative. So so you can say the also need for effective cooperative training to develop the sound work. So after the independence, the cooperative were made a part of mixed economy of India, and the mixed economy comprises three sectors: public, private, and cooperative, and also considered as balancing element between private and public. So it is a made up of integral part of the 5-year plan. So now come to the principle of cooperation. Principle of cooperation have some features: voluntary and open. Wait a minute. You can see my slides. Wait a minute. A principle of cooperation. One is voluntary and open membership. That is a credit base. And second one is democratic member control. It is a processing based. And members economic participation, autonomy and independence, education, training and information, cooperation among cooperative and concern for community. This is a already told you. Now come to the growth and development of credit cooperative. We have some points: structure of the cooperative credit system and primary agricultural cooperative society. This is a production credit. District Central Cooperative Bank, State Cooperative Bank, State Cooperative Agriculture and Rural Bank. First one is a structure of cooperative credit system. This is a structure of production, and this credit is 3-tier system and comprising the state government bank at the state level. And the investment credit structure was 2-tier: the state cooperative agriculture and the rural development bank at the state level, and primary agricultural cooperative, rural development bank at the grassroots level. But there is no structure for providing the investment credit, and it is rooted through the production credit system as explained. So some national level federation which is take care of this policy. The next one is primary agricultural cooperative society. It is registered in 1905 at the Dharwad in former state of Bombay, and by March 2003 the number had increased around 1,06,004 and 100 million in the whole country. So 1960-61 the number of such society was 2.10 lakh, and almost 10% of the village and 71% of the rural household have now been covered by these society. So initially, they primary agricultural cooperative society provide only not only short and medium term credit like loans, crop loan to the farmer, but also granted the status of multi-purpose society. So it is a basic unit at smallest credit institution in India. You can also say uh, primary credit society have a founder government of India, and it work on the very grassroots level, that is gram panchayat and village level, and rural cooperative credit or and urban cooperative credit make a cooperative credit institutions. So this is a primary agricultural cooperative. Now come to the district central cooperative. This cooperative bank are nodal bank, and it is credit at district level. District level means around 2002 and 2003, there was 368 district central cooperative banks, and district central cooperative banks are operated through 12,760 committees, and this bank also provide finance to primary agriculture cooperative society at very root loop. So this cooperative bank by the end of 2002, uh, it accounted for 87% of the total borrowing from the district cooperative committee and from the commercial bank. The next one is a state cooperative bank. State cooperative bank are a apex cooperative. You can say these banks are classified as scheduled bank and perform all businesses that are normal banks perform. And there are uh, 29 states which operate there, which operate their 880 branches. And this bank is a small size financial entity, and where its member are owner. So the total amount of loan disbursed by these banks during the year 2002 and 2003 was around 366.4 billion, and uh, you can say the deposit of these banks increased to 35,922, and this cooperative banking has proved to be asset to in term of acting as a financial intermediary to agriculture and allied activities, small scale industries, self-help employed worker. So cooperative bank in India are governed as per Banking Regulation Act 1949 and Banking Law 1955 Act. And these banks have been opened with no profit, no loss, and they do not seek for profitable venture and customer only. So some important feature I would like to tell about cooperative banking. Number one, they work on the principle of one person, one vote, and these banks are owned by the member. A board of director is chosen democratically, and they are responsible for controlling the organization. And also, farmer can avail loans on the minimum interest from the cooperative bank, and also easy and accessible loan and credit benefit in the rural area with scarce banking facility. So one point also pointed out, the annual profit earned is spent financial reserve and required resources, and part of it is distributed among the cooperative member as per prescribed limitation. So the This bank is divided into two division, like urban cooperative bank, where non-scheduled urban banks, scheduled urban banks, and rural cooperative bank, where state cooperative bank, district central cooperative bank, primarily agricultural cooperative bank. Now come to the state cooperative agriculture and rural bank. There are 39 state cooperative agriculture and rural bank, and out of which 11 in Assam, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh. So many states have a federal structure and they function in both the state primarily level, and 8 have unitary structure. So the participation of government in this bank, total share of here is up around 13.4%, and their own operation in this bank operate through the 1214 banks. Now this is growth and development of non-credit cooperation. Non-credit cooperation means what we have learned in previous unit about the importance and role of credit cooperative in the development of agriculture India, and equally important are non-credit cooperatives. First one is cooperative marketing. Why the need of cooperative marketing? The cooperative marketing was realized in view of growth malpractices prevailing in buy and selling of agricultural produces, and the produce were not getting the due to share of agricultural produces, and it is understanding or agreement between two companies aiming to promote or sell to other companies. So it is essential because they also sell their product to companies within the agreement to this complement each other services, and also they provide mutual benefit. Cooperative marketing also this result because of combined or joint effort of two or more companies. Typically they bundle and group the product and services in the hope of reaching and service in common target audience, and the product of cooperative marketing can complement or even supplement each other. In such cases, or in some cases, it can be catered to different seasonal cycles. So, one survey done in 1968 in Cooperative Marketing Society, the Reserve Bank of India decided to effective linking of credit with marketing. So, this was done to help government agencies execute price support programs. So one economist say, Dr. K.L. Kulkarni said, cooperative marketing is the marketing for the producer and by the producer that aim at eliminating the chain of middleman operating between producer and the ultimate consumer, and thus securing the maximum price for their produce. So in India, cooperative marketing was necessary for several reasons, especially for malpractices. So it is a voluntary organization and patron decide to collective market product for the benefit of each of them in a system and governed by democratic principle. Now come to the processing cooperative. What is processing cooperative? It is help much as many as the earlier problem what continue. So it was felt that without making any value addition to the agricultural product, the cooperative would not be able to help much in ensuring help better price for the product. So in order to reduce the number of middlemen, number of middlemen and to obtain greater return on agricultural produce, and the importance once among on important one among on the sugar spinning and the dairy processing cooperative, which have not only helped in promoting the economic well-being of the farmer in rural areas, but also generated the employment in rural areas. So you can say it is very helpful, and it is a you can say backbone of entrepreneur or like rural employment. So another one is cooperative sugar mills. The second 5-year plan included a program for starting cooperative sugar factories, and middle in 1958 license under the Industry Act 1951 were granted 38 cooperative middle sugar factories, and this is related to National Federation Cooperative Sugar Factory, and it was also established by in 1960.
अंदर ना मसाला जो बना रही हूँ आलू वाली
चटनी
चटनी फिर से और बनाना है
हाँ उसकी बनानी है
दही और धनिया
मूंगफली
हाँ
हाँ
देना चाहिए
हाँ 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 okay. So it was established in 1960 to build a strong and vibrant cooperative sugar sector in India, and all cooperative sugar factories and a state cooperative federation across the country for its member. So our services are: the cooperative sector contribute nearly 59% of the rural total sugar, and total sugar produced in the country, and sugar cooperative have 2-tier structure. So come to the dairy cooperative. Dairy cooperative is in India is a very popular, and it is closely interwoven with the agriculture and also play important role in rural economy. It is a dairy's product is a uplift the rural economy. So it is a very important cooperative. Beside having vast employment, beside any heavy, it is a you can say the present structure of dairy cooperative in India is 3-tier, and main objective is to increase the number of milk animal from the to collect and settlement to milk union, and ensure regular remunerative payment to producer, and also helped in the member of increasing milk production and veterinary first aid, artificial insemination services to sell cattle. So things are, so the present network of cooperative services are more product and relative continuity. The next is fertilizer cooperatives. It is a growing population and increasing demand for food grains. Demand for food grains and increase productivity farmer to require ensure adequate and quality input at reasonable prices. And faced with this requirement, farmer facing immense problem in relation to the timely availability of the quality. So you can say to solve the problems of cooperative fertilizer plants, was set up in 1967 at Gujarat under the aegis of the Indian Farmer Fertilizer Cooperatives, and where 3 objectives were made. One is produce chemical fertilizer, and they to ensure they reach the doorstep of the farmer, and to educate the farmer how to use fertilizer effectively, and to transfer the required technology for modern farming to Indian farmers. So one IFCO fertilizer is a production of its network of distribution of fertilizer, and it is a reliable fertilizer, and this also give the association of cooperation or association of forestry, setting up the storage cum community center, adopting village for the integral rural development, extending funds for the building rural area, house and cultural activities. Now come to the last, industrial cooperative society. Industrial cooperatives mean industrial cooperative means along with agricultural production, it is necessary to promote village industries for the rural development. The second 5-year plan, or you can say, first, I would like to say, industrial cooperative have two objectives: socio and economic upliftment of the people below the poverty line, and the most important objective is to safeguard the interest of poorest section against the exploitive trend and the pay wave of the for the diffusion and dispersal of wealth. So the economic objective of these society to create employment opportunity for the people of increasing the production and productivity of unit, and to inculcate competitive capability and acceleration in the field of trades. So industrial cooperative have a wing of Department of Industry and Commerce, and it play a vital role in providing gainful employment to rural people in general and women in particular, and eliminating the exploitation of worker by the middlemen through labor contract cooperative society, and also arranging for market for the product of rural artisan through handicraft cooperative society, and procuring green tea leaves through cooperative tea factories and paying reasonable rate to the small tea growers of the Nilgiri districts, and helping the tapioca cultivator of 8 district in procuring tapioca through member of unit sago sir for processing of starch and sago, and arrange for marketing for the same, and also stabilize the tea market and to eliminate the shortcomings in the conventional tea auction system. A new electronic tea auction center called Tea Serve, the first of this kind in world, has been launched and also translates sale of tea around 15 lakhs kilogram per month with the perfect transparency to the satisfaction of tea. So, in nutshell, industry industrial cooperative society ensure marketing of the finished product of the member, advantage of large scale economy to the member, and mutual help among the member with the cardinal principle of each for all. So this is all growth and development of non-credit. Now come to the regional imbalance in the growth and development of cooperative. So the growth and regional development cooperative movement in country has been reviewed from the time to time by the various committees, and measure devised to minimum or minimize imbalance in their development. And the Cooperative Society Act 1990, cooperative became a state subject, and all state enacted their own laws as per convenience. So the cooperative movement in this country emerged with the blessing of the government, and also work as an active partner in the enterprises. And the law formed and the law formed by the government, however, were restrictive in the certain cases, contrary to the principle of cooperation. And the movement did not develop where the government equity was more, but it also went well where the government control was minimum. For example, in the state of Gujarat and Maharashtra, where the government did not have any stake in the equity of cooperative, but the movement has shown steady progress and the government control has minimized. So, the cooperative were used as a agent of government to implement their schemes, which did not help in achieving the viability of cooperatives due to lack of profit margin in the most of activities they engage. So the next slide, Rural Credit Bank. What is Rural Credit Bank? And what is the role of Rural Credit Bank? First of all, I would like to tell you rural credit in India. Rural economy growth generally depends on the funds from the one interval to another, and to understand high rise productivity in non-agriculture and agriculture areas. And this interval gap from sowing seed to understanding the post production revenue is comparatively very long. And farmer lend money from different front to match the primary investment and primary investment on fertilizers, seeds, tool, and other personal expenses. Post-independence traders and money lender took advantage of poor peasant and landless worker by lending money to them at huge interest rate, and also influencing their account and trapping them. 1969, India started social banking and different agencies who could provide fund to satisfy the requirement of rural credits. And after that, 1982, National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development, that is NABARD, was formed, an apex body to regulate the organize all the financial activity concerning the rural financial system. And this became more concrete when the Green Revolution came and changed the credit system of the country, result the productive lead. So now come to the type of rural credit. There are three types. One is short-term credit or loan. It is a one kind of rural credit, and it is taken for brief private business, a capital requirement. It is a type of credit that require borrowed principal amount of interest percentage, and it is a worthy but expensive option, particularly for a small companies, for startups that are till not qualified for the credit line from the bank. And second one is a middle term loan. It is the loan that has to repayment duration between 2 to 5 years, less than 10 years. And this loan are very excellent option for a small firm and looking for a traditional way of the credit with the set repayment duration and anticipated. Third one is long-term loan. This is usually 5 to 20 year or even before in few exceptional cases. In any business, long-term finance is essential to create permanent asset. It will return over a period of time. And especially in the agricultural sector, long-term investment comprises land leveling, fencing, sinking well, permanent repair on the land, acquisition of the heavy machinery like tractors, and all suggested long-term investment needed a large of the fund. And why this credit is needed for the why? First one is long gestation period. It is between showing crop and understanding income after the agricultural produce, and sale is very long. To buy inputs means farmer need money to buy seeds and fertilizer, and personal expenses. They need money for personal expenses like marriage, death, religious ceremony, and to repay old debits also. So now the role of credit in rural development. What is, these are the two: risk in rural economy and risk coping strategies. Now come to the non-organizational credit in rural areas. This is a three type. Informal credit sources. Informal credit sources means wait a minute. It is a between when the need for the loan it felt actually obtaining. It is a shorter in case of informal, or it is found in rural area of many developing nation, especially in India, and has very common feature all over, and also suggests some informal sector escapes. And there is no restriction on capital subscription liquidity, and also the lending and deposit rate. The lender of informal credit do not have to pay legal fees, and the transition and the transaction cost related to paperwork and documentation are reduced considerably. So the credit for rural areas or rural sector has been beset by several problems. First, institutional credit was almost negligible. Means it is a, you can say, it is a institutional credit which is not applicable, and rural credit market have been segmented and also fragmented by highly imperfect. At the time of independence, the rural credit scenario was rife with the problem. Second one is a credit corporate. I have told you, and micro credit. Micro credit is a noted in many developing countries. Formal credit, financial credit have not been able to penetrate such much into rural credit banks or credit markets, and even where they have not been able to displace the indigenous money lenders entirely. Also, they provide of credit in informal markets, enjoy some advantages over the formal sector. So you can say, or it is usually the case that saver and those who borrow are two separate group of the people. Saver deposit their saving in bank to earn interest, while borrowers borrow from bank for invest at the prevailing rate of interest. And in the case of poor people, often the investor himself is saver if the habit of saving is encouraged, and quantum of saving can be enhanced. Many self-help groups have a role to play, and group imply that there is a peer ensure there is a having credit can be useful source. Self-help group, it also depend upon it. And if a group comprises poor people who have low income and feel they have very little access to credit, they will also encourage to form a self-help group. Self-help group provides so many facilities to rural people. This is a organized bank and rural credit, commercial bank, rural credit in India, commercial bank, rural credit, regional rural bank, NABARD, and service approaches. Now, I would like to conclude the overall unit. Overall unit, the one is Panchayati Raj is also strengthen the foundation of Indian society for weaker section, for backward, and also the whole unit have a main function to coordinate the work to all district level departments and other agencies, like so many small scale industries are involved. So my lecture is over. Thank you listening patiently, and Any question, please drop on the box. One, I have question read. What is panchayat? By I have seen one question. What is panchayat? So each village is segregated into several words, like each word has its heads, namely panchayat. It is also known as sarpanch. And it is elected by the member of Gram Sabha or village council. And apart from this, secretary is appointed by the state government. And this secretary of the panchayat call or village council call for the meeting where the progress and the sarpanch. हाँ थोड़ी सी. Okay, now my lecture is got finished. If you have any question, ask by chat box. I'll share my presentation on regional center and they will send you on the 30th January through mail. I'll share through regional center and they will send you. Definitely. You will get it. Write a mail. So have a nice day. I think no more questions. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.
Bye.